This is Lutz again with a new summary regarding the culture of planetary solidarity, consisting of a short version and additional aspects. On my YouTube channel, Kultur der planetarischen Solidarität, you can also find a 2-minute and a 1-hour version in German and English. What does culture of planetary solidarity mean? It means to end the principle of direct return service as the dominating principle of the economy, at the moment materialized in form of money, and to replace this relatively primitive form of regulation with better regulations. These new regulations form a framework which is built on the rights of Mother Nature and the basic physical and psychological human needs. Regarding all human activities, including activities which today mean payment, only one question is important. Are the activities permitted by the new regulations? And no longer, how much does it cost? Culture of planetary solidarity also means to end distress on a grand scale. Distress here means the violation of basic physical and psychological human needs. This definition says that distress is not only a problem of poor people. The ending of distress on a grand scale could deactivate the neuronal emergency program aggression on a grand scale. Aggression is an emergency program of our brain if basic needs are being hurt. From my point of view, the culture of planetary solidarity is the new master plan for a good future and for the coping with the planetary emergency. I think it is our last, but also our best option. A worldwide discussion about the culture of planetary solidarity promises a better overall mood as a very first effect. This is what we urgently need as a very first step. Mood is something very powerful, because it influences our perception. Some of us are desperate and in a situation best described with the neuroscientific expression uncontrollable stress reaction. Some of us are in physical and/or psychological distress, and they therefore have a reduced ability to see things clearly. Some of us still need a wake-up call. And some of us are in emotional overcompensation, like whistling pilots short before the crash. I'm afraid that most of the well-informed people in influential positions and most of the people of influential social classes are in this mood, unfortunately. The urgency of the planetary emergency described briefly. The ecological urgency with 3 aspects found in the Guardian Weekly. First, 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries already broken. Scientists used the phrase that Earth is well outside the safe operating space for humanity. Second, ocean temperatures 4 degrees Celsius above the expectations. Scientists spoke of an uncharted territory. 3. Time frame for the possible collapse of the Gulf Stream newly defined, 2025 to 2096. The social planetary emergency, materialized in form of aggression and suffering, described with the following mind game. Look at a picture of a suffering little child who works in a mine and say to this child, "You only have to bear this for another 10 years. Then we will be in a better future." I think you know what I mean. From my point of view to date, no plan, not even other plans which want to abolish money, reflects the time pressure of the situation. I think a master plan for a good future and for the coping with the planetary emergency must have the following features. First, it must enable an emergency stop of our economic overactivity and must enable a fast replacement of harmful activities with better solutions. Second, it must enable the fulfillment of the basic physical and psychological human needs and with that reduce the amount of destructive aggression. Aggression is an emergency program of our brain if basic needs are being hurt. 3. must also have the possibility to switch small and big economic structures on and off, depending on the demand. 4. It must be able to abolish the greed's perfect vehicle, money, immediately. 5. It must have good answers for the question, what if not everybody agrees to the new master plan? And 6, last but not least, must have a good answer for the fact that people are afraid of change. The culture of planetary solidarity has these features. The way to get there. First, preparation for an emergency stop of our economic overactivity and for the installation of the new regulations. Second, installation of pilot regions, which should be a bit ahead. 3. Ending of the principle of direct return service as the dominating principle of the economy and installation of the new regulations. This big economic present for us could produce the readiness for change, which is urgently needed in this planetary emergency. 4. Emergency stop of our economic overactivity. 5. In this relatively calm situation, development of optimized solutions for the planetary emergency and for a good future. Why do I regard modifications of the old principle as unsuitable for coping with the planetary emergency and for enabling a good future? First, we are running out of time. The beginning of sufficient measures must be very, very soon. 2. We must ask ourselves why we haven't started good modifications of the old principle a long time ago. After all, there were a lot of wise people in the past who tried it. My assumption is that the principle of direct return service as the dominating principle of the economy has strong dynamics which inevitably have the consequences we currently face. Moreover, the materialization in form of money is a perfect vehicle for greed. At the end, I want to say something about forms of prejudice against me in the culture of planetary solidarity. First, some people say the idea is crazy. If people say this, they must have a very good plan for our desperate situation. Most of the time I think, no, they haven't got a good plan. If they claim they perform well, they must answer the question, where are the results? At the moment, without questioning our primitive basic rule, if you want to have something, you have to pay for it, our results are, in comparison to what is necessary, like window cleaning on the sinking Titanic. Regarding the possibility to translate the culture of planetary solidarity into action, I would like to point out that we prove it already every day. How else, for example, would you explain the motivation of volunteer firefighters? In this context, see also the so-called iceberg model of the feminist economy. Second, some people say I'm a Marxist. No, I'm not. If you have listened to the long version on my YouTube channel, you can possibly remember some aspects which contradict this opinion. For example, my picture of humans. And if you take a closer look, you will find out that the culture of planetary solidarity can also be a framework for both pragmatic Marxists and pragmatic capitalists. In general, it is important for me to enable a colorful mosaic of solutions within the new framework. Three, do I want to undo the so-called Neolithic revolution, which has begun about 11,000 years ago? No, this is not possible. But let's take a short look to what Jared Diamond wrote in his book Collapse. He described the fact that the survival of historical communities depended on how they reacted to, partly self-inflicted, changes of the living environment. His work also proved that human beings are able to change their behavior in a relatively short period of time. To my knowledge, it is a well-founded scientific opinion that the Neolithic revolution is still going on. And given that the Neolithic revolution is our ongoing reaction to a changing environment, the culture of planetary solidarity could be seen as a modification, a kind of update to this reaction. By the way, this will be the greatest project of humankind since the beginning of the Neolithic revolution. Are you prepared? Be prepared, we have no choice. Last words. We are responsible. We know, scientifically well-founded, what we are doing. Sadly, we still do it. We have to solve these life-threatening problems. Our heritage for this planet and its living beings must be a good future. A failure is not acceptable. Best wishes for all of us, Lutz.